Welcome. It is May 6th, and we are on our 35th episode of Google Rocks Hawaii. And we have another great show for you today because we have a bunch of robotics enthusiasts who are doing great things in our schools. And we also have some people who are interested in finding out more about it. We're hoping that more people will come on. I'll mention their names and maybe they'll make it to us. We actually anticipate a full house. So we're going to be celebrating robotics in the schools. We have 3 examples. Let's go across the board and introduce ourselves. So Tami, would you please say who you are?
Hi, I'm Tami Sego. I'm with Kula Elementary School.
Okay. Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve Qunell. I'm with EO Intermediate. And Linda, how do I put my name across the bottom of my picture?
That's a good question. What you want to do is open up on the left, put your cursor to the left, and you'll see a little toolbox with a red rim. If you click on that, on the right-hand side will be, it'll say Hangout Toolbox in the top right. And the very left circle with the silhouette in it, click on that. And you can, oh, here comes Bryan Silver, yay. And you can, if you click on that and you have to turn, it says lower third on and off. It has to be off. And you go ahead and edit it, put your name in there, whatever you like. And then when you're finished editing, you turn the lower third to on. And it'll show up for us.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Bryan is here, I believe. Maybe he'll come on in a second. Bryan is from Kalani, but let's go across the board now. Steve is working on, fast learner. He's got it on there already. Fantastic. Okay, Roberta, could you tell us who you are, please?
Yeah, do you see my name now at the bottom?
I do.
Good. Okay, my name's Roberta, and I work at Seabury. I'm the computer teacher in the middle and upper school.
Okay.
And I've been doing robotics for at least 15 years. It's funny because I was doing the RCX Lego platform with my upper school programming class, like a long time ago before the contest.
Oh, neat.
And I still don't like the contest.
Uh-oh.
But I like robotics. Okay. I like teaching robotics, but I don't like the FLL, format.
Cool. Okay, next, Michelle. We'll come back to you, Roberta, not to worry. Okay. We're just doing introductions right now.
Okay. Thought I put my 2 cents in.
No problem. Michelle?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Michelle Colt. I'm the librarian at Kula Elementary School.
Okay. Jody?
Hi, I'm Jody Brown. I'm the librarian at Kalama Intermediate.
Great. And I see a little blue man that I think is Bryan, and he's muted. So, Bryan, can you hear us? Okay, Bryan, we can't hear you, so I'm going to... Oh, are you there, Bryan?
Yes, we're here. We're trying to see if I can text you at all. Am I still muted, or is it...
I can hear you now.
Okay.
But we just can't see you, but
no,
which is okay.
Camera thing and doesn't seem to be connecting.
Okay, and Cammy with a C is just came on and went off again. So we're working through the technical parts of getting people on and off, which is kind of a routine around here. So let me double check to the chat to make sure nothing's happening. Okay, it says that Cammy is here, but we can't see her. Alrighty, so while people are trying to get on, and Ann has joined us as well, we'll go to Tami from Kula, and she'll tell us a little bit about how robotics works at her school, and then we'll ask her some questions. Ready, Tami?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, so robotics at my school, there's 2 coaches, Vera Yamanaka and myself. we run an after-school program. We have 10 kids currently in our program, and we do the NXT robots with First Lego League. We do Vex IQ. We started that this year, and then we also did Vex Robotics this year. So we do 3 different teams, mostly consisting of the same students. We competed this past year both at the state level for First Lego League and for Vex IQ, and we really enjoyed the Vex IQ this year. We also have a robotics class that we run for 3rd graders, and that runs usually the second half of the year during second semester. So that involves about 12 kids.
Great. I wanted to say that we do have show notes, so all of the links and the schools that we'll be talking about, you'll be able to look at the show notes and explore more. So the URL for that is bit.ly gr35, which is Google Rocks 35, notes, N-O-T-E-S. So that's pretty easy to remember, and we'll have that on the YouTube channel as well. bit.ly gr35 notes.
Hey,
Okay.
Tami or Linda, before you go on, I just wondered if Tami could say just a little bit about the difference between Lego and Vex, because I think our usual viewership might not necessarily be robotics folks.
Okay, so the Lego Robotics, and I'm sure Roberta can speak to this as well. The Lego Robotics is based mostly on autonomous programming. So the kids have to use a computer to program their robots. So first they build the robots, obviously, and then they program them using the computer programming. And the Vex IQ can be is also programmed. They program a remote control to run the robot, but there's also autonomous programming that they can do, either through ModKit programming or through RobotC. At our school, we used ModKit this year, but it was a little bit glitchy, so I think next year we'll be using RobotC.
Sounds good. Any questions of Tami?
Did that answer your question, Michelle? Yeah, you did. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
That's great.
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Where is Kula?
Kula is located on Schofield Barracks in Wahiawa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Steve, you're on.
Okay. I will try this. My first attempt at screen share with Google Hangout. But before we start, I'll just tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Steve Qunell. I teach at Hale Intermediate in Wailuku over here on Maui, and my second year teaching at Hale and my second year in the DOE, but I've been teaching for about 15 years. And right now I teach 6th grade technology classes, which is really a fun time to get kids because they're really ready for new stuff at 6th grade, I've found. They're ready for new stuff all the time, but 6th graders are really fun to work with. So so that's been really fun for me, getting to teach them. And then last year I started 6th grade robotics program, which we'll look at here in just a minute. So let me try to get my screen share going.
Okay.
And
so you know it's the green box with the white arrow.
Yep, on the left.
If you click, what you want to do though is have your separate screen, a separate window open with your presentation already there.
Okay.
And then you go to screen share. There you got it. I saw it. There it is. We got it.
Let's see. Oh, there we go.
And you don't want to go to the full screen because that won't work. So unless you choose it, you can.
Happens
you
if I
choose the enlarged one. Yeah, present from the beginning. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, that went to the screen. Can you see any of that?
No. So go back to screen share and choose that new window that you just created.
Okay.
And that should work.
There we go. Can you see
Otherwise,
that? Can you see it now?
no, I see you.
You see me. Okay. Let me go back to screen share again then.
Okay.
All right. So it is open in a new window, but I can't click play without.
There, I saw it.
Okay, you can see it now.
For a second.
Okay, I'll just go through it. Whenever I click present, it goes to full screen.
Okay.
So I'll just.
You can stay in that smaller version if you like.
Yeah. So everybody's looking at my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is just the front page. Like I said, this was our competition team last year. There were anywhere between 10 and 12 students on the competition team, and these are just some pictures from the state championship. A little bit about our program. Before I started there, it was headed by our librarian Jane Hurray, and with the help of a couple community partners, parents of other kids, they went to the World Championship in 2009. Pete Hansen, who I work closely with both at school and with robotics, took over in 2011, and then another teacher who teaches science, and I started last year, and then last year I started the 6th grade program with 15 students, and then this year we just announced that we were going to start our robotics club going, and over 50 students signed up in grades 6 through 8. So it's been in 2012 we had the 15 6th graders, and then we had about 10 7th and 8th graders. So to go from 25 to over 50 in 1 year is pretty exciting. And we competed in 2 different kinds of competitions. We did Vex Robotics, and these are just some pictures of Vex Robotics here. For people who don't know what Vex is kind of like a really fancy erector set with gears and motors and things, and it's controlled with a joystick that's a lot like the PlayStation joystick, but it also requires that the students program the joystick to work, and then there's also an autonomous period, and this is the game from last year called Toss Up, and there's a new game every year. Last year we also added First Lego League, and we had about 10 students or so participate in that. That was Mr. Helfenstein. That was George Helfenstein's team. I didn't really work with the First Lego League team at all last year. And then Pete Hansen put together a couple virtual tours made in Google Tour Builder for with pictures and things of our trip to the state championships in Honolulu, and then when we went to. This is the game from last year called Toss Up. There's a new game every year. Last year we also sixth place in First Lego League, top 10 at the Maui Vex tournament, and then we got in with Baldwin High School team, 2 Baldwin High School teams, and we won the Valley Isle Vex tournament, which put us into the Hawaii State Championship, and then also qualified us to go to the Create U.S. Open Robotics Championship in Omaha, Nebraska, and so we took 5 kids there in April to compete, which was pretty exciting. That was definitely an interesting trip. The future of our program, the new game this year is Vex Skyrise. So we're going to be stacking these square blocks onto the different things on the sides. We have to build a robot that can do that. We're also going to have a Vex IQ team this year, so it's good to know that there's other people on here that do Vex IQ. And currently they've been pushing it on Maui because nobody did it on Maui. Nobody did Vex IQ last year on Maui at all. So they're hoping for about 20 teams this year, and we'll probably be one of the places where we're hoping to be one of the places where they have the tournament mat so people can come and practice. And then we're also looking at a thing called Moonbots. We're thinking about possibly doing bot ball next year. So it's all kind of up in the air right now. If you want to see VEX in action, if you're interested, there's the VEX International Summer Games on Oahu this summer at the Convention Center. And then there's 2 VEX tournaments on Maui next year. There might be a third added. And there will also be at least 1 VEX IQ tournament on Maui. And then finally, if you want to email any of us or get in touch with any of us, this is our contact information down here. And our website, which we're currently kind of reviewing, and we're going to put it into a Google site. We just haven't had a chance to do that yet. So I think that's it. Well, I guess I can field some questions now.
Well, I wanted to say looks like a fantastic program you have, Steve. It's really wonderful, all the variety that's there, and thanks to Pete too for doing that presentation. And we'll have it up on the show notes so other people can access it as well. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. I wanted to ask a question about the programs that you do. Are they competitive as in first place, second place, third place, or some of them, all of them, or is it just a celebration of doing?
All of the ones that we do have placements, and you qualify for other tournaments based on where you place in that tournament. And so it's not. You're never by yourself in these tournaments. You're teamed up with another team, and I'm not sure if that's true for First Lego, but for VEX anyway, you get put on a what's called what's the term they use? It's not a coalition, but for the finals you get placed on a team of 3, and you all compete, and then for each individual match you get placed with one other partner. So when you're competing in one individual match, you're with another partner and you're trying to beat the other team while you're in your match, and then you get ranked based on your how many matches you win or lose, and then you get to choose who your partners are for the finals. If you're high enough, and then if you're not high enough, then you get chosen, hopefully, for the finals.
Anne mentions in the chat that maybe the word you were looking for is alliance.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
is long week.
The way you get chosen, is it a toss-up? Is it like randomly chosen? For the alliances, how do they work?
Well, it depends on how many teams they want in the finals. So if there's going to be 8 alliance teams in the finals, then the top 8 teams will get to choose, and they get to choose 2 teams each. So it's not random. It's done by, so the top team will go first, and they get to pick the team that they want to have as their teammate, and then the second team will go. And they do 2 rounds of that to make up the alliance teams for the finals.
Do some teams not get chosen at all, and they're just kind of sitting on the sideline?
Yes, and that happened to us at the state tournament. We didn't get chosen for the finals in the state tournament. So it's usually about 2 or 3 teams. It's usually somewhere between 2 and 5 teams that don't make the finals usually.
And Tami mentions in the chat that prior to the finals, the teams are randomly assigned.
Yes, that's right. So during the qualification matches, the teams get randomly assigned alliance partners.
Okay. Interesting.
So
yeah,
it's possible.
I went to the gym at the county fair with my class, and we watched it.
Oh, good.
But I didn't understand what was going on with the alliances. But it looked like fun. Everybody was cheering and having a good time. One of the problems we've had at Seabury is it seemed like the only time to compete was at the county fair in the fall, and none of our kids would be trained by that time. unless we started in the spring. So we couldn't figure out the timing of it. Like, we could maybe have started a club now to train for the fall. But we didn't feel like we had enough time from the beginning of school till the county fair to be ready.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have a VEX class. We have an upper school class in VEX.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well,
none of them.
you know, the new game is out for next year, and so teams will be on the slide that had the little cubes on it. That's the game for next year. So if you go to robotics.com, you can get the video on the game for next year.
And you can do that in the spring. When does it get released?
It gets released in April, the end of April. It just came out last week.
Okay.
And then usually there's tournaments, like there's a tournament this summer on Oahu in August, early August, for this new game. So the VEX people, they go year round pretty much if they're serious about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
there
we
was
better get it if we want to do it.
Yeah.
It's not too late. It just came out last week.
That's right.
Question from Michelle. Are you able to, I guess to Steve, are you able to talk to the other teams in your alliance?
Absolutely. So VEX, so the VEX, the whole VEX idea is that it's not just about building and programming robots. It's about communication and teamwork. So typically on a team, you're going to have at least 5 members. You're going to have a couple builders and a couple programmers, and then you'll have other teams that go out and do scouting and talk to the other teams, find out what parts of the game they're very good at, what parts maybe you're better at, so you can strategize before each individual match who's going to do what to try to score the most points. So that's actually a very big piece of what they try to promote with VEX, is that it's not just about robots and programming. It's the other stuff too.
Hey, do you folks build that into your practices then, where you have the kids kind of reflect on what their strengths are, or maybe pose those kinds of questions to each other, just thinking before the competition?
Well, we try to. This is only our second year of really. This year was the first year we even had a clue as to what we were doing. So last year was kind of, since it was my first year with the program and Pete's second, we were really just trying to figure out what we were doing. This last year we had a little more knowledge about that kind of stuff. So next year the roles are gonna be a little more solidified than they were this year. But there is so part of the competition at each one is that it's not just about the robotics, the winning and losing stuff. There is, just like in FLL, there's different prizes you can win for your design, for your how well your team worked together, for the way that you catalog the whole process of what you did, so we keep what's called an engineering notebook of all the things that we do at every single meeting, and the judges want to see that kind of stuff. So it is a big part of, and it's one part that we definitely need to work on, and I think everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely a challenge.
Okay, the one at the Maui County Fair. Do you know who's in your alliance before you go to the Maui County Fair?
No. No. So
oh,
the first part of the morning matches are all qualification matches, and you're just randomly set up with different teams, and then you break for lunch, and there's usually a couple more matches, and then they keep track of who's in what place throughout the day, and then as soon as the qualification matches are over, there's about a 15-minute break, and then you choose your alliance partners for the finals. So you get to see you play probably 8 matches before the before the finals, so you know who can do what, and the kids are in charge of watching what other teams are doing and that kind of stuff.
Neat. I wanted to have Kalani tell us about what they do, and then we'll have all three to compare. I see the chat area is going wild here with questions, so I did want to have Kalani tell us what they're all about, and then we can go to the chat and answer some of these questions and address the comments as well. So Bryan is here, I believe. We can't see him, and he has been chatting. So Bryan, let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, hopefully you guys got me live. Voice? Anybody, or is I'm still mute?
We can hear you. I'm going to mute you, Tami, for now because your typing is... Okay, go ahead, Bryan. Sorry.
Okay, well, to answer Tammy's question in the last little text was, we're looking at ModKit right now. RoboC is another trick we're working on. So it's just a matter of figuring out what's going to be best to teach Vex IQ with the students. All right, for everybody else, Bryan Silver with Kalani High School. I have the pleasure of doing the engineering courses at Kalani. I'm actually a history teacher by training, but by fun, I do a lot of the engineering and robotics. Antrigi helps me out with managing the team. We run FLL tournaments. We do micro-robotics with BristleBots. We are in the Vex leagues. We've been here for 6 years. We do FTC. We do First Robotics. We're in Real World Design Challenge, Clean Tech Challenge. We do a lot of different programs throughout the year. Robotics never stops at my school. If we're not competing in a tournament or setting up for one, we're doing outreach events. We'll do about 30 outreach events a year, doing different workshops or demonstrations around the community. And we've had a fantastic run. We've done some really incredible things at the school, and it's a pleasure to watch the kids kind of come in knowing nothing about robotics and self-teaching themselves to figure out what do they want to learn and how they can get involved in this team. And as we start to peel the onion of robotics, it really just goes down layer after layer after layer. And it gets way wicked involved, especially as you start getting into the high school divisions and you get into a program called First Robotics, which are 120-pound robots that are 5 foot tall that you build in 6 weeks. So all of everything you guys are doing and building up are getting these kids ready to do that. So it's a really incredible thing to build these robots from scratch in 6 weeks, then go out and play the games. So we're always in the challenge. We're always looking for new things. We run lots of academies. In the summer, we run 4 different programs. We're actually doing a 5th one this summer. We do for the 1st to 4th graders. We do Lego for the 4th to 6th graders. We're doing Vex IQ this year. We're going to figure it out. Like, all right, let's do it. We can figure this. We can make this happen. So that's why I've got to learn about the ModKit versus the RoboC as far as programming goes. I don't have a handle on it yet. That one, we do Vex training, and we do Let Try or PyBot, which is a programmable robot that doesn't use the computer to really make it run things. You use sensors and resistors, different input systems that are all in the robot for it to move around the environment.
I'm tired just listening to all the lists that you made. That is incredible how much is going on at Kalani. And you went to Nationals, correct? Just came back from Nationals?
That's correct. So this was our 4th time going to Worlds for the First Robotics program. And we were up there in the Galileo division. It's this year it was 400 teams. They split them into 4 divisions, 100 teams per division. They call them different names like Archimedes, Galileo, Newton, Hurray, and then the kids compete out in the 100 division to find their champions, and then the divisions go against each other to find the overall champions of the entire tournament. And it's 4 days long, or 12-hour plus days. We're in the venue at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we usually don't leave until 8 o'clock at night. So it's a long time, but it's a lot of fun. The kids are way exhausted, and we just go, go, go. It was in St. Louis, Missouri this year, and it will be for the next 3 years.
Wow.
And say we were out there. We felt very fortunate. We've been up there 4 times now. We've won 2 awards at Worlds. We've got the Entrepreneurship Awards, and we've got the Making First Accessible Award a couple of years ago. And there's not very many teams that come away with an award or recognition at Worlds for what they do in a program when you're talking about 400 teams. And it represents the top 10% of robotics in the world.
That's amazing. You might have asked this and I wasn't listening now. How long have you been in this program, and how long has the program been at Kalani? It sounds very robust.
Interesting. That one, you can look at it in 2 different formats. In 2003, I got involved in First Lego League, and that's when we first started First Lego League here in Hawaii. There were 6 teams at that time, and now 12 years later, we've grown it up to as high as 230 teams, and I think we've stabilized at about 160 teams. I did that for about 4 years, and then I took 2 years off, and 6 years ago, I was pulled back into the robotics to run this thing called First and Vex, and I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, sure, it sounds like fun. I'm sure we'll manage it out. And I had a bunch of freshmen that just said, okay, that sounds good. And we just blew it up from there. We went gangbusters, and we do more than 5 programs a year.
That's fantastic. And how long? You were in at 2003, and the program itself, is that you started the program?
Yes, at Kalani. So I had a team of freshmen doing FLL. It was the last year they could compete, which was always a bummer. And somebody else also mentioned, you only get to play 1 game. The kids get out, they build, they play the 1 game, and they go, oh, that's what you meant when you said X, whatever, you told them to do something. And they got it, but then again, if they didn't win at that point, it was done. No more. That was the hard thing about the FLL that I always felt. Vex I really liked because you could go to a tournament and come back and redesign. Go to another tournament, come back and redesign. And you're constantly going back and forth. You're really exploring that design process. It's not a one-shot wonder.
Neat. I see there's a lot going on in the chat. That's great, back channeling, but we might want to bring some to the forefront if you want to. So does anyone want to ask Bryan any questions out loud? Jody, go ahead.
I'm considering becoming the robotics coach next year for Kalama Intermediate, and I'm a little intimidated, a little more intimidated even now than I was half an hour ago, and I'm wondering how new coaches learn all this stuff.
You just take it 1 step at a time and try to figure out as much as you can. I actually sit the kids down and say, you want it, figure it out. And my job is basically to kind of guide them and kind of keep them on track. If the kids want it, they'll figure it out. If the kids aren't really sure, they'll struggle a little bit more. And then I do my background and I try to research, and then I bring it back to them and I redirect them into it. But for the most part, my kids have had to be self-studies to it. Like I said, I come back from a history background, not an engineering background, not a programming background, not a building program. I just know it's possible. So there's no stopping. You just keep going until you succeed.
I would just add to that, if I could, Jody. Embrace failure and teach your kids to embrace failure. But they're the ones who have to figure it out, because you don't want to be the coach that when the robot breaks, they look to you. When the robot breaks, you look to them and say, okay, what are you going to do? It's not my robot, it's yours. So if the kids
my
are
strength
interested,
is totally not knowing.
They will figure it out.
Yeah, thank you. That's totally me.
Jody, find a good mentor too. We had a good mentor at Wahiawa Middle School, and Thomas Lee has been a tremendous help to us.
Yeah, if you can find those mentors, they are huge assets. But it's tough too, because some of those industry mentors will to a school of kids, and they don't know how to interact with kids very much, or they expect the kids to move faster sometimes. And you see, it teach them how to breathe and relax and let it go at their pace.
Yeah, I was wondering if you folks have turned to any social media. Like, I noticed there's a First Lego League Google community. I just wondered if any of you folks are a part of that. And Steve, I also saw you folks have a Twitter account. So are there groups you communicate with on Twitter for when you have a question or need help?
Well, we haven't explored that, but there is our Twitter account is more for the parents of our team members. So when we were at the state championships and in Omaha, they could keep track of what was going on. We posted pictures of the students doing their thing. So it's more of a communication tool in that respect. For VEX, they do have the VEX forums, which has all kinds of information that you can mine for stuff. One other thing that I would say to Jody is one benefit we had this year was we had 2 students doing their senior project was to come down and help our robotics team. So if you could connect with a couple kids up at King K or even at Maui High or Baldwin that live in the area or whatever, they know more about building the robots than I do, and that was really how we got started this year. But the social media, I'm not really much of a media guy. That's Pete's kind of realm.
She asked how you were doing.
Yes, speaking of that, Pete puts up some really cool pictures all the time on G+. I think there was a STEM conference that happened, and it's fun to see and comment on. So really appreciate it. I think that's a great way, Michelle already knows this, but social media is a great way to get enthusiasm for and get support from other people and have a community that can move forward together. And even though it's competitive, if you can get people to mentor you, it's really fantastic. And then there's people like Bryan and also, of course, Tami and Steve, who are really the backbone of this movement. You are the passionate people. So in honor of Teachers Appreciation Day today, kudos to you on your enthusiasm, which is coming through right now as we speak. So very much appreciated. And I'm sure the kids get that, and that's why. How many did you get this year, Steve? 50 instead of 25 come up? I'm sure it's in large part to your enthusiasm, so that's fantastic. Any questions? I could look at the chat, but that looks kind of private, and I kind of lost track. So does anybody want to bring up Anne has something to say. She put it in the chat, but Anne, I'm going to put you on the spot of what's coming up. There's something really cool coming up.
Linda, can you share Cammy's slide and Cammy can explain about it? I can just in the chat.
You want to share it? Okay.
To you I can do. Okay, what do I do?
I can do that. Hold on.
Here and then.
Oh, do you want to screen share it? I'll let you do it.
Okay, so hit green arrow and then.
And your screen should be in the back, the one you want to choose.
Yeah.
So choose it, and then we should see it. There it is.
I did. I thought I did.
Oh, this is Michelle. No, I see Michelle's. Oh, no. Okay, Michelle is sharing. No. Michelle's got it. So go ahead and talk about it, Anne, and I have it up on the screen that Michelle is sharing. Oh, wait. Now let's go to you.
Well,
there you go.
No, let Cammy. Cammy, can you speak up?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yay.
Okay,
welcome,
okay.
Welcome, Cammy.
Sorry, I keep losing my connection. That's why.
No problem.
Okay, so first of all, can you guys go to the shop page on the top? Yeah, and then scroll down, and then it's under the PyBot Academy thing. Okay,
Wait, no.
so basically, yeah, so um, I won an award from the NC-WIT, which is National Society of Women in Technology. So I won an award, and what it did was it gave me permission to apply for a grant to start a program for middle schoolers. So basically, I applied for a grant and I got $2,000. So what I'm doing now is I'm starting this PyBot workshop for girls. It's gonna be during the summer, and basically it's gonna teach them how to build robots using the PyBot curriculum, which is what you see on the website. So that's something I'm working on right now.
Neat.
I hope you guys can still hear me. Like my reception is really
that
bad.
is
We
that
can hear you.
Arduino?
Yeah,
The PyBot?
it uses Arduino. They call it a STEM board, but basically it's pretty much the same thing as an Arduino board. And I think they program it using C programming.
Yeah, it's just programming.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've done it.
What grade level is that for, Cammy?
It's for from ages grade 6 to 8, but we're also we're accepting 5th graders going on to 6th grade as well.
Neat. Very cool. Any questions of Cammy, anyone?
Please help us advertise. Thank you.
Yeah, so far I don't have any signups yet. So if you guys could, that you see how there's files on the web page. If you guys could, pass it out to your students or something, that would be really great.
Okay.
Oh wait,
No.
I have a question really quick. I just wondered if girls who don't have experience previously with robotics, if they could join you folks too, or are you looking for people who already have experience?
This is pretty much for beginners. So if you don't if they don't know anything, that's no problem, because we'll walk them through every step, including how to build it and stuff. So you don't really need experience for this.
Okay, thanks, Cammy, and congratulations. That's so exciting that you got the
Thank
grant.
you.
That is very exciting. Which brings up a question in my mind. If you all three could answer, how do you get your funds for this? Is it grants or DOE, or how does that work, or donations? Steve, how do you get your money?
That's a good question. We're figuring that out for next year right now. Let's see, we sell popsicles, we have car washes, we apply for grants, and last year we were very fortunate that our school is part of the 21st Century Learning Community Program, so they actually paid for most of our stuff. Unfortunately, that is ending for our complex for next year, so we're kind of left wondering where the stuff is going to come from. But fortunately, we bought a bunch of supplies in advance before the grant ends. So it's all that the funding part is always the $1 million question: where are we going to get the money from? Because we want to make it. We want kids that, if we end up with a good robot and we can travel and we go to tournaments, we want our students to be able to go whether their families can afford it or not. And so far, for the 2 years we've been in it, we haven't the parents haven't had to pay anything. So that may change next year, but that's our goal anyway.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, Steve, we did a similar thing. We qualified for Worlds in April. Our parents didn't have to pay anything. We did GoFundMe.com. We were able to earn most of our money that way, and Dave & Buster's power cards, but we also have some grants as well.
Fantastic. How about Kalani?
Kalani does a variety of different measures. We've done Kickstarter to help raise funds to get into Worlds. We write grants. We get about $10,000. My yearly budget that I work through with Kalani is about $85,000. And to raise that, a lot of it comes from my parents. I get about $10,000 to $12,000 out of grants. I get another $10,000 out of our academies that we run because we do them in the fall and summer. We do about another $10,000 in our bristlebot business. That's what the kids run to help drive. So they build all these little bristlebot kits for toothbrush robots, and that's kind of our saving grace that really raises most of our funds. And then the parents have to kick in the remainder of that to get them on the trips. We do 2 major trips a year to the mainland, one for an outside regional for first, and then we qualified for Worlds, so that means we're racing for Worlds too. And just to put a little perspective, every time we do one of these trips for first robotics, the tournament entry fee is $5,000. And we do a home regional, we do an outside regional, and if we qualify for Worlds, it's another $5,000. And that's just for the first program. And that's not on top of what it costs to build the robots, to run the PR campaign, do the books, the banners, the flyers, the buttons, all the other hoopla that comes with it that they have to, the kids' budget. So we sit down and we do a budget every year. And the kids look at how much you want to spend and what categories do you want to spend it. And then they have to go against their ledger to see, are we overspending or are we underspending? So they can kind of keep with it. And 2 years ago, we had a really good year for selling bristlebots. It had a lot of extra money. This year we didn't do as good. So now we're trimming down our fat a little bit more, and the kids are going to have to make some decisions about how they're raising money. We get donations, and we're trying to find sponsors. We haven't found any corporate sponsors to back us up. But it's tough for all the robotic programs. Everybody's looking for, how do we get a couple $1,000? Where do we get a couple $100?
Brian,
Wow.
do you also teach on top of this?
Yes, I have a full weather class.
Wow.
4 engineering intro classes and 2 advanced engineering classes.
Wow.
So there's always chaos going on in my room. I love it.
Very impressive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm guessing that Bryan does this for fun.
Yes, I do. Oh yeah, all these trips they have to be away. It actually comes out of my sick leave. I have to leave me in my class because the principal, the admin, doesn't support that kind of stuff. It's my choice. It's a club. It's not a sport.
And Anne says in the chat that Bryan lives and breathes robotics. That's amazing. Wow, I feel educated. It does take a lot of commitment from what I can see, not only for the program itself, but for the fundraising. I have a question. Why does it take $5,000 to enter? What do they use that money for?
I'll give you a perspective. For us to rent the Penn Sheriff Dome for 5 days, 3 of them are robotics, but they have a setup day and a close day. They will spend $250,000 for that dome, the time that the robotics teams are there. And there's 40 teams that show up. That's about $200,000. That's just the rental fee, and you got to pay for all the roadies and everybody else. So they still try to find a lot of other sponsors that go in and help support that. And then when we do Worlds, we're renting out the Edwards Jones Dome, the football field, plus the America's Center Convention Center all next to it. So it's a lot of money that gets used to support the robotics for these kids to play, depending on where they play at.
Do you think it's worth it?
Yeah, I do. The amount of exposure these kids get, everything we try to teach them as educators to a product, designing it, building it, coming up with plans, budgetaries, the whole well-roundedness of the program, I think it is really worth it. It's a tough pill to swallow to get the kind of money. As the kids go through it, the exposure they get, meeting other people, having to work cooperatively on these alliances with teams they don't know, and trying to figure out how to play the game the best against other group of kids that are doing the same thing. It's a huge exposure for them, and I've watched our group go from freshmen to seniors and into college, and they're doing tremendous things. And I'm watching the next group come up and develop. I'm looking at kids that are so shy that were sitting up against the wall, not wanting to say anything to anyone, now go up in front of adults that are complete strangers and talk about their program. And be excited about robotics, or excited about the campaigns, or writing grants for themselves like Cammy, to get more women involved into engineering and figure out how do we strengthen our program. These kids get a lot of leadership experience coming through the robotics program. I think that's one of my favorite parts, to watch that happen. The little kids of the Lego divisions, XIQ, and then developing all the way into the first program. And watching that happen is amazing.
Okay, wait a second. Ann just said something in the chat. Cammy is a sophomore.
Yes, she is.
Cammy is the student.
Yes, she's one of my students.
Wow, that is fantastic. And she got a grant.
Yep, she wrote the grant. So she wrote it.
Kudos to you, Cammy. That is amazing. Now that makes me want to fundraise, help you get people into your program.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Congratulations. Thank you for telling me that, and I thought she was a teacher.
Oh, no.
No,
Some people think I'm an adult.
Well, we can't see you. We can't see you. Maybe we would.
Oh, yeah.
We can't see you. Wonderful, wonderful. And you are a testament to what it's all about, Cammy. So thanks to Ann for letting us know about that. And it is all about the kids and their excitement. So yay for you. Wow. It's like a little gem at the end of our show.
I know. Hey, Cammy, I'm just wondering, and Tammy's wondering too, do you let coaches come to your camp, or is it really just for 6th graders?
Well, we let adults come too if they want to, but mostly, like, it's just the kids, and then it's taught by the students too, so it's pretty much like student taught, like kids teaching kids kind of. So yeah, but if you wanted to, you could actually come and like observe, or yeah.
Thank you. I think that's so exciting. I think that's the best kind of learning, kids teaching kids. So this sounds really great.
It is fantastic.
Cammy, would you allow 5th graders, kids going into the 5th grade, to come? I know you said 6th graders, but we have a couple girls who are quite bright that would probably enjoy your program.
I would say yeah, if they wanted to, they could. The PyBot, it might be a little advanced though, just as a warning, because C programming, I know, is you have to write in actual code, and it's like, it's a little bit complicated, but if they can handle it, then yeah, we would be happy to.
Thank you.
Neat. Wow. And I see in the chat that there's some conversation about getting together among the panelists to talk more. So that's what we're all about, conversations. And you're welcome to add to the event conversations as you continue on. It's really what we want to do. We want to make sure that happens, or encourage that to happen. Okay, so we're at the top of the hour almost. Any parting words or thoughts from anybody? Really appreciate you coming on. I mean, I learned a lot, and I love that there's a variety for each of the 3 schools, and that you've made it your own, and that it is no cookie cutter kind of a way. It depends on the people who are interested in it, who are willing to commit themselves to it. So really fantastic learning from you. And Cammy went away. Bye, Cammy. Cammy was wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Roberta.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to say thank you to everybody. our program's in transition right now. We've been doing the FLL with the 6th and 7th and 8th grade. What we found is, I think especially for 8th graders, it's way too elementary. So I'm thinking I would like to go into VEX IQ. I don't know if I want to go into VEX with them, but I would like to try VEX IQ. I know it's going to be a big money commitment, so I want to make sure it's the right way to go. Sounds like it is, from what I've gathered from what everybody said. So,
And Cammy,
thank you.
You're welcome. And Cammy's back, so I guess she momentarily went out. We are at the top. Let's continue the conversation. Fantastic show. Really appreciate all of you coming on and learning with us and teaching us. So I'm going to say aloha for now. And those who are on the panel, you're welcome to stay for a few minutes. If not, see you later. And take care.